Hello everyone. In this video we will cover the list data type in Python. If you know the word list, a list is just a list of items. It is an object that contains multiple items in one dimension. You may be familiar with this in C#, C++, or Java from your previous programming course. And in Python they're pretty easy to work with. So we're going to go over how to structure and build the list data type, how to iterate and access items in the list, and other features of the Python list that you'll find useful in your programming adventures. So right now I'm in the idle shell, and we're going to use the idle shell to play around and define the list data type, look at various options and features of list, and then we will migrate over to a Python file where we'll do a little more comprehensive programming. So the list data type in Python, if you're going to build one out, is defined through brackets and items separated by commas. So if I have a variable spam, maybe spam is a list, and spam contains the different types of spam as strings. Regular spam. And if you notice, I put a string regular with a comma afterwards so I can add another item. Maybe we have spam light. Maybe we have spam with bacon. And maybe we have smoked spam. There's many different flavors of spam, and we can represent these flavors of spam in a list. If I hit enter, I have set the value of spam to be the list that we just typed. Each of the items in a list can be represented by an index or an address. In Python, the first item in the list is the 0th item, the second the first, the third the second, and so on and so forth. So, for instance, if I want to access the first item in a list, so I want to print that out, I'd use the print function. I'd type my variable name, spam. You use an open bracket, and then you type the index. In this case, we want to print the word regular to the screen, or the first item in a list. I'm going to type the value, integer 0, a close bracket, and then I'm going to close my print function. If I hit enter, the string regular is print to the screen. If I want to print the next item in the list, I can do the same thing. Print spam, open bracket, 1, close bracket, end parentheses, and I see light printed to the screen. If I want to print the last item in the list, the index here would be 3. So print spam 3. And we have smoked spam. So as you can see, with an index, it's easy to reveal a value of a list item by typing in that index. But you may also see the value in using a while loop with a counter to iterate through each item in the list. And we'll go over looping through items in a list once we open up a full Python file and we get out of the idle shell. I also want to note that a list can contain items of variable types. So maybe I have eggs, and it's a list, and maybe eggs consists of yolk, but maybe it also consists of the number 3, true, the none type, 42, an integer, and then 35.6, a float type, and I hit enter. And you can see you can have, this is valid, Python doesn't throw an error or raise an exception. You can have a list that stores multiple data types. So far we've covered what a list is, how you can set values to a list, and how you can access list items through an index. There's also the concept of a negative index in Python. Instead of going forward, where your first item is 0, your second item is 1, your third is 2, and your fourth is 3, we can go backwards in the list. And in Python, to go backwards in a list, you use negative numbers. So your last item in a list is represented as -1. Your second to last, -2. Third, -3. Fourth is -4, and so on and so forth. So for instance, if we wanted to print the word smoked, we can use the print function, the variable spam, and use an index of -1. This will print the word smoked. If I want to print the word bacon, I can type print spam -2. And bacon will appear. If I want to print the first item in this list, I know the length of my list is 4, so I can print spam -4. And we see regular is printed to the screen. Python also has the concept of slices. What are slices? Slices are subsets of a list. Slices are indicated through the use of a colon. So instead of printing or inputting an integer where you would put the index, we can put a range of values to grab out of the list. So let's say I wanted the first 2 items in the list. So we see spam is defined as a list containing regular in the 0th spot, light in the first, bacon in the second, and smoked in the third. But let's say I only want regular and light. I can access it via spam, open bracket, 0. We want to start at the 0th item, and we want 2 items. If we hit enter, we see regular and light. Let's say I only want the first item. Spam, 0. I want to start at the 0th index, hit a colon, a 1, close bracket, and I just get regular. Now, unlike accessing an individual item with a specific index, using a slice returns a list. So just remember that you still have to access it as a list when you return this value. Let's say I want to access items after a certain item. So for instance, if I type in spam 1 colon and bracket, this will give me every item in the list from item with index 0 to the end. So our solution here will be light, bacon, and smoked. Let's say I only want the first 2 items in the list. Open bracket, and I can use a colon and 2 in there. And here I see regular and light. So you can omit values on either side of the colon to get various results. I'm going to retype our spam variable here as I go through, just so we keep it on the screen. We could use the len function in Python to get the length of a list. If I type in len spam, we'll see 4. This says that there are 4 items in the list. I can also change the values of list items by accessing their index. So let's say we no longer like bacon spam, but we do like fish-flavored spam. So bacon spam is at index 0, 1, 2, so it's at 2. Spam 2 equals fish. Don't know how that would taste, but see how it goes. Now, if I display spam, our list is regular, light, fish, and smoked. So you can always change the value of a list item by accessing it via its index. You can also concatenate two lists together. So let's say we have a variable called more spam. More spam equals a list. Maybe it's fresh spam, pineapple spam, two new flavors of spam that we're going to release. Now we can add more spam to our spam. Spam equals spam plus more spam. Now if we display spam, we have added two new spam brands. So our list is now regular, light, fish, smoked, fresh, and pineapple. So the plus sign concatenates two lists together. We can also replicate lists. Let's say we have, let's redefine eggs equals over easy. Our eggs is a list with a single item over easy in the 0th index. Let's say eggs, we want to make 3 over easy items in the eggs list. Eggs equals eggs times 3. Now, if we show eggs, it's replicated our items 3 times. So in this case, the asterisk operator is the replication operator in a list. We can remove items in a list. So let's say in our spam variable, let's just show it again. Our fresh spam and our pineapple spam, they didn't really do too well. We can use the del command to delete items from a list. So we have to know what the index of those items are. So in this case, regular is 0, light is 1, fish is 2, smoked is 3, fresh is 4, and pineapple is 5. So we can use the del statement, del spam 4, or let's start with 5. Let's start with pineapple first to make it less confusing. And we print spam. Now pineapple is gone. Now we want to delete fresh. That's in index 4. Del spam 4. And if we print spam, we're back to our regular, light, fish, and smoked. So we have a 4-item list after we delete the items that we do not want. So that's it for the basics of lists, and we will do a second video where we get into iterating through lists using while loops, basically how you would use lists in a normal context and how we're going to use lists in this week's lab.